Stop wasting time making costly mistakes. You got to stop doing this if you want to heal from trauma. Some people think you can't heal from trauma, but you absolutely can. I'm going to tell you 7 costly mistakes that many people make, and they're trauma triggers. So I get it. It's easy to make these mistakes because we have this little thing inside of our skull called the reptilian brain, and the reptilian part of our brain is the most ancient, and it's only concerned about safety and avoiding danger. So a lot of times our mind can conceive that these things are causing us danger, but we have to somehow engage our cerebral cortex, the part that is kind of last in line, and it succumbs to the dictates of the reptilian brain, but we have to do these things. So I'm going to tell you 7 costly mistakes. So the first mistake is isolation. People who have been traumatized tend to isolate. They tend to be afraid of other people, especially people that remind them of their trauma, of their triggers, of the perpetrator, of whatever it was that happened, anything that reminds them of the trauma. But we need people. We need a community of people that we can talk to be able to heal with. We need people who can understand us, who won't shame us or blame us or tell us just get over it. There's so much misunderstanding about trauma, and so many people don't handle talking to us when we've been traumatized in a way that's helpful. So you need people, and especially a support group. The next mistake, costly mistake that trauma survivors make is neglecting their self-care. And of course, there's many ways to care for yourself. The number one way to care for yourself is getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep at night. And that's hard for most people to do, and certainly hard for trauma survivors to do, because trauma survivors typically have flashbacks and nightmares and fears and anxieties that keep them up at night. But getting enough sleep is really important to healing all of who you are, your physical body, your emotional body, and your mind. So stop avoiding taking care of yourself. The next costly mistake is suppressing emotions. When my clients come to see me, especially clients that come in for PTSD or relationship problems, they're suppressing their emotions. They don't know how to express them appropriately, or they try to avoid and be passive, and then, when they can't do that anymore, they explode and they get aggressive. But stuffing your feelings is not healthy. There are many, many ways to express your feelings in a healthy way. So I'd encourage you, if you are a trauma survivor, stop stuffing your feelings. Okay? I know it's easy, but you've got to stop doing that. The fourth thing I want to talk about is holding on to guilt and shame. A lot of trauma survivors feel guilty that they survived, or that somebody else has done something to them, and maybe they thought that they provoked it. Maybe they thought they were dressed too provocatively if they were a victim of sexual trauma, or that they were too pretty, or they were too this or too that, and then they feel guilty. And shame is the sister of guilt, right? Guilt is something, for something that you did wrong. Shame is believing that you are wrong, or you're bad, or you're somehow deeply flawed. But we're not those things, and we need to be able to express our guilt and shame in a journal with another person who understands. There's many ways to do that. So stop suppressing guilt and shame. Another costly mistake trauma survivors make is avoiding triggers. Now, of course, we want to avoid triggers because our reptilian brain is running us. And that is hard to fathom sometimes, because we think we're so sophisticated. We think because we live in Western culture and we're educated and we're smart and capable, that why would our reptilian brain be running the show? But that's the part of us that wants to keep us safe and avoid danger. So we avoid triggers because we associate those triggers with danger. But you've already been through the danger, you've already been through the trauma, and now it's time to heal. Now it's time to stop avoiding the triggers so you can deal with them. And you probably need help in doing that. The next costly mistake is neglecting boundaries. I didn't even know what boundaries were when I first started my healing process. I thought boundaries were those little lines on the map, denoting where the countries were, or the cities or the counties were. But no, we have personal boundaries. and we need to feel safe inside our personal boundary, and we need to set boundaries with other people who violate our boundaries, who are toxic, who say or do things that are harmful to us. One of the things I learned is that no is a complete sentence. You know, a lot of people don't realize that. You are allowed to say no. A lot of the things that happen to trauma survivors is they can get very codependent, or if they already were codependent, which most women are, especially in America, we want to take care of everybody else, you know, our children, our spouse, our employer, and we become last. But we need to set boundaries. We need to be safe, and we need to have a place where we can go, where we can be rejuvenated. And we need to stay away from toxic people and toxic energy, which is everywhere. So the 7th costly mistake that trauma survivors make is resisting getting professional help. If you're a trauma survivor, you need professional help to really get healed from all of this stuff. It takes time. It takes courage. It takes fortitude. It takes hanging in there and doing whatever you can, working with a professional who can really help you move past whatever it is that's keeping you stuck. So the costly mistakes keep you stuck. And who wants to be stuck? To me, being stuck is like the worst feeling in the whole world. It's almost worse than the trauma itself. So those are the 7 costly mistakes that I'm talking about today. I hope you get the professional help that you need. I do offer a course, Essential Mastery, that is for trauma survivors. So see my link in the bio, get my free PDF, and it talks a lot about some of these things and some things that you can do to heal from trauma. So I look forward to you, getting the help that you need. Leave me a comment, communicate with me if there's anything I can do to help you or anything that you want to say to help other people, please do. All right, take care.